All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. All right, I'd like to welcome you all to the national chapter of CLI's Open Mic. And I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Hiram Sims. I am the executive director of the Community Literature Initiative, which is an organization that helps writers of color to finish and publish books. And this year we have 9 chapters in different parts of the country. And in addition to that group of publishing classes, we also have the Sims Library of Poetry here in Los Angeles, boasting 10,000 books of poetry. And in addition to that, we have an incredible press called World Stage Press, where we publish the best poets in the United States. And tonight, we are here to celebrate the publication of an incredible book of poetry by an incredible poet, and her name is Deborah Dalton. Unmute yourselves and give it up for Deborah Dalton one time. Woo! Woo!
Yeah,
That's my sissy.
it's my
Congratulations,
student.
Deborah.
Go, Debbie. Way to go, Debbie.
Congratulations.
Yeah, D. There
Congratulations
you go, Dad.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
and happy birthday.
Thank you. Love
Woo!
y'all.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday. That's right. Happy birthday. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. So Deborah turns 26 today.
Yeah.
She's the youngest author on our press to publish a book. I got a chance to meet Deborah at the Beach City Writers Conference last year. Like she was frolicking on the beach, running in slow motion like she was on Baywatch. And, she read an incredible poem at the bonfire that we had that night. So, congratulations, Deborah. Very, very, very much proud of you and all of your accomplishments. Her book is called Qoheleth, My Muse. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong a little bit, but she's gonna correct us a little bit later. So we want to get started. As I told you, we have these publishing classes, and although she lives in North Carolina, she was a part of the San Diego chapter of CLI, which was taught by Karo Ska. And Karo Ska is an incredible Los Angeles based poet, author of Loving My Salt-Drenched Bones. And in these book releases, virtual or physical, or in person rather, we always want to hear from the poet's teacher. So, Karo Ska, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness, Deborah. I am uh so proud of you and so happy that your book is out in the world today. I remember the very first day of of class, and I think you were like the one of the like you and Sister and Sonya were like the first two people there, and I think you're the first person there, Deb. And yeah, and I love the energy that you brought to the class, and you're always so dedicated. And I really miss seeing you every week. You brought so much insight and wisdom with your poetry, and I feel like I always, this is kind of cliche to say, but it's like, as a teacher, like you're supposed to be teaching the students, but I always feel like I learn so much more from the students and everything that they bring. And so I'm just I'm so honored to be here and to be reading. And I had also had the privilege to write a book review for Deb. And so I got a sneak preview of her book, and it was it was incredible. It was just so it was such an honor to be able to dive into her work. and it's brilliant. If you don't have the book, order the book because it's worth it. And it's also just beautifully laid out. Okay, so I'm gonna read some poetry because I could go on and talk about that like all day, but I know I'm here to read some poetry, and so I wanted to start off. This is my dedication poem to the class, but I thought it was very much appropriate to read it tonight. So this is to Deborah and to all of the season 10 students that I had the privilege of being with last year. Okay, from the start, we were kindred spirits, our hearts tethered by stardust and moon glitter. We were planets in a solar system older than time, perhaps older than poetry. Together, we supported each other through deaths and surgeries and injuries and insecurities. Some nights, we didn't turn on our cameras, but dropped love yous in the chat, blue-tailed comments of tender affectioning, brightening our bad days. From the start, we were vibrant, and our poems sparked open portals to new dimensions. Tuesday was family time, and we showed up because we were pregnant with books, mothers of ink-scorched cosmos, and we needed each other to give birth. It takes a village to raise a manuscript from scraps of paper and shoeboxes under the bed and half-written scribbles on Burger King napkins. And today, we meet we meet Deborah's screaming bundle of joy, knowing this is only the beginning of her journey of authorhood, where there will be disappointments, but the disappointments will never taste bitter because of how sweet it is to say, hi, I am a book mother in an interstellar tribe of published poets linked by our love for stories and language. From the start, we were more than writers. We were a universe of stars lighting each other up and destined to be a book family. And today, we welcome Deborah's book out into the world. Woo! Thank you. Deborah. So I'm gonna read a couple. I'm just gonna read a couple books from couple poems from my book, "Living My Salt-Drenched Bones." And the first one that I'm gonna read is in honor of. I know that some of Deborah's poems talk about her being a survivor of sexual abuse, and I know that's one of the things that she also is an advocate of. And so this piece is called "I Can't Love Like a Wild Animal." Once I was a lion prowling savannas, seeking prey. What was love if not teeth-piercing skin, digging into soft tissue, slurping up blood? Once I was a starving seal swimming under melting ice, ready to eat anything that floated by. Once a friend asked me if he could give me a massage, and I said okay, and it turned into more, and I didn't know how to say stop. Once I was a turtle without a shell, all flesh, no heart, and I was left in the sun to dry out, and I knew I couldn't love like a wild animal anymore. Couldn't wake up on couches after drunken poker nights in the arms of men who ate my lips for breakfast without consent. Hunt by hunt, I discovered the wildness of my howl and how it didn't have to be a call for a mate. Claw by claw, fur patch by fur patch, I grew not less feral, but less fearful of the beasts roaming the woods of my bones. Now I crave burrowed connections and a hole in the ground I can call my own, a self-love not built on the brutal urges of men. Thank you. And I'm going to read one last short piece that's kind of just a dedication to everyone. Oh wait, I'm only supposed to read one poem. I did
No,
not
go
know
ahead.
that.
Go ahead. Go ahead and read that one. Go ahead and read that third one. Go ahead,
Okay.
Karo.
I thought I had 5 minutes. Okay, so ways to be a flower. Listen to the sun. Her rays are stars of wisdom. They'll teach you how to grow. Let snails and caterpillars nibble your leaves. Share yourself. Don't poison those who seek your refuge. If a human picks you, wilt. They don't deserve your beauty if they take you without asking. Sing to the bees. They'll feed and spread your seed. Give, but don't hesitate to receive. Root yourself, speak to soil, express your needs. You are important. You are enough. Let the wind blow away your insecurities. Don't forget, bloom bright. Your time is brief. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations to Deborah. I can't wait. I can't wait to have your book and can't wait for your reading. Thank you so much, Deborah.
You're welcome. Thank you, Karo.
All right, thank you, Karo, and congratulations on ushering this book into the world as Deborah's teacher. Sister Mama Sonya said in the chat, so proud of my little sis, a bomb diggity word master. Yeah, so I don't think I've ever read the word bomb diggity spelled out in the chat. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. All right, so next poet up to the mic. I got my headphones on in my little telemarketer microphone over here. Next poet up to the mic is uh, the TA that worked under Karo in that chapter and also helped to get this book done and guide Deborah on her journey. Give it up for Mauricio Moreno. Woo!
Hey,
Thank you.
Mauricio.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Sims, Hiram. Lovely to see you, Deborah. Lovely to see everyone here for this special night for Miss Deborah and her book releasing her book Baby. Um, I have so many fond memories of being Carl's TA and being in the class, and Deborah was in Group A, and I remember Group A was like the one that kind of set the precedent for Group B, as in like they brought their A game every time they could went out to workshopping, and Deborah was no exception. Her pieces, you know, usually didn't even need much editing. I was always floored by her performance and her pieces, and I was so happy to be on that journey throughout the time that we were together. And it all culminated really beautifully for the Beach Writers Conference because I got to meet Deborah and Sister Mama Sonya in person at the beach. And we actually had like a Charlie's Angel pose, which I still have on my phone, which was such an amazing day. I will share that with y'all because she just looked fabulous. Everyone did. And I'm so happy to see so many people here tonight. And I won't take up too much of your time. I do have a poem that is a dedication to poets, especially Deborah on her big day, and it's called Odes to the Poet. Ode to the poets, these alchemists of assonance, creating thorough passages, bridging gaps of ignorance, thriving in the dissonance. In battlefields with shrapnel and bloodied fist and bullet shells, or on bus stops in the streets, reliving ancient beats. In classrooms, igniting sparks, sparks in the youth, planting seeds, watering truths. Oh, to the poets with their names on a cover, with sultry stanzas of undercover lovers, or heartbreak haikus of love gone forlorn, or political prose to challenge the norms. Oh, to the poets who document these times because history books never include the crimes on indigenous bodies and black bodies and women's bodies, Asian bodies, brown bodies, Palestinian bodies, bodies who embody the sins of government bodies. Oh, to the poets who speak truth to page, tapped into the rage with a pen and ink and changed the world with flicks of their wrist. Magicians of meter, writing to resist. Oh, to the poets who bleed from their pens and expose their own demons, who become their own friends. To those vulnerable souls who feel like they're broken, this one's for you too. May you always find hope in this ode to the poets, these prophets of prose who write mundane shit, who show us the grime, see that there's beauty and not all of it shines. Oh, to the poets of every flow, every style, in iambic, trochee, spondy, or dactyls, or free verse, spoken word, however you're heard. This path of a poet is not taken lightly. They hold their ancestors ever so tightly. They hold stories and cultures, virtues and tortures. They hold dreams of the future, something new to build towards. So as you snap and clap while listening tonight, treat your poets kindly and please buy their books, especially Deborah's. Congratulations one more time.
Thank you, Mauricio.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Woo! Yeah, we always say, at these book releases, we'd be like, buy two books. Buy one for you and for somebody you don't like. And then, be like, you know what? I don't like you, but this is a great book of poetry and you should read it, because if they read poetry, you might like them a little more. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into the open mic section of tonight. This is a part of our CLI tradition. Like we always like hold space for people to share some words, especially on nights when we have book releases. And so, there are people like Deborah that have been doing poetry for decades, and then you got people, like who have been doing it for like a couple weeks, like a couple months. But like what I love about the open mic is that all of us have an opportunity to be heard, like through this space. So we're gonna start the open mic. About 6, 7 poets are gonna read. So we're gonna start with some students and some people from the national chapter of CLI. So let's kick it off with KD Finnegan. You're on the mic.
Um, I was actually going to share the poem. I have a book, a children's book that's in publication. So I was going to share the poem for that tonight. It's called Silly Me. I love like a cool night I love like a full moon on a cold winter night on display to warm your heart. Love is eternal darkness and light. Others say, you're crazy. Why so serious? Oh, silly, silly me. Love makes me so crazy. Silly me. I love like music that moves your feet while your soul dances to the beat. Love is singing to the rhythm of your heartbeat. Others say, you're crazy. That's ridiculous. Oh, silly, silly me. Love makes me so crazy. Silly me. I love like a cool night by the campfire, growing our friendship with flame. Love is bravely sharing our light. Others say, you're crazy. Love is messy. Oh, silly, silly me. Love makes me so crazy. Silly me. I love differently than them. They seem to not comprehend. Love is everywhere. There is no need to pretend. God says, be a crazy, messy, ridiculous, serious, silly one. Love is unique, just like you. Oh, silly, silly me. It's okay to love like me. Silly me. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you, KD Finnegan. All right. Next up on the open mic list, we got Scott. Scott, you're on the mic.
Thank you. I am the new student in the class. I think I'm in my second week, third week. And this is an elegy for my mother. It's called Kinder Than the Man. As night falls in multiple shades of purple and orange, spreading itself easy across a lazy St. Louis sky, the moon rises as she always does, peeking out from the shadowy curtains of her waxing gibbous, a white satin dream under velvet sheets of black clouds, a courtesan whose arms are soft, caressing, like streams of violet gauze that reach out to me until I am wrapped in cream and cotton. I have always wanted to live here, to stay within this womb, this odd place where I try on your dresses and heels, blouses and makeup, and we fall on the bed laughing until we hear his car pull up. He is back from the other side of his orbit, the mocking face of the man who has ordered the stars and the planets. No sapphires or silk garments. Judgments radiate from his lullabies like cigar smoke and stuttered consonants. And his emotions are scorn and derisions. His appearance always comes as a jolt, a shock. And by 12, I've learned to turn my face and to pull your shirt off over my head and your shoes from my feet. But where we are now, he's been gone for years, and my head is resting securely on your breast, where I can enjoy the comforting smell of face powder and perfume. As I hold your hand for one last moment, when you open your eyes, I swear I can see God, and I have never seen her before. She is a working girl, a waitress on graveyard duty, spindling tickets and refilling coffee, barking out food orders across the ledge of the stainless steel window, in sensible shoes and a grease-smudged smock. Her blessings are served in plates of potatoes and meatloaf, and she soothes the hearts of the hurting with oatmeal and toast. But twilight is quickly approaching and a shift change is near. With one final hand squeeze, you offer your final comfort to the living. And for the last time, I am lowered like an empty bucket into your well filled with milk.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. All right. Before I get to the next poet, I just want to give a shout out to the fact that we got people in this virtual session from really all over the country. You know, like this is the national open mic. There are people here from all over the nation. And if you ask people to to drop their city in the chat, we got people here from Houston, from North Carolina, from St. Louis, from Orange County, you know, just like people from all over the place, from far and distant magical places like Compton, all of us here together, reading poetry, and all of you like in your living room, like half dressed, eating spaghetti, listening to this great poetry. So I just think that's incredible. All of us here together to celebrate Deborah's accomplishment and hear some poems. All right, so next poet coming up to the mic from the national chapter. Give it up for Sharice Cameron. You're on the mic.
Thank you. The poem that I'm going to read is called Subway Map. Instant gratification isn't found on the 2 train. 57 minutes to Brooklyn, 57 minutes to consider how many rats die on subway rails, how many people, and the hum, metal on metal in 2/4 time, in 7/8, in 4/4, to lull heavy human cargo on its back in popular time, dare we call it common. Oxford sings, lull, a temporary interval of quiet or lack of activity, a perfect chord, a devil in 3, a little bit of New York City, Maria. Those of you with interval training understand. We are not talking the Alps here. I'm talking pure West Side Story shit. Lullaby under Broadway. My head dips between stops. Lullaby on Broadway. Bug-eyed man, try to stare me down again and you will wonder why you failed. Senza Ataka, when my laser eyes burn your neural synapse without apology. Try me. I am trying to sleep away injustice between 42nd Street and a bed in Brooklyn. Subway music, creak and sing me to sleep. Crawl down into the cavern of human transportation, no longer pigeon. Creole crooner, sing me to sleep. And wash soot from the walls of ungentrified stops, and leave your mark. Sign your name in dripping paint, in dripping blood, bled dry on a 57-minute commute to bed, from the veins of the walking dead, from the mouths of babes and your mothers and your fathers and your sisters and your brothers who commute to unaffordable housing and littered gutters, cum-filled condoms strewn along come-hither roadways. I am angry sleeping. I am angry sleepwalking, bullshit, and rhetoric.
Woo! Wow, wow, wow. It's national chapter, man. Bringing the heat tonight. All right. Next up, this is one of my favorite CLI poets. I got a chance to meet her in the hotel lobby at the USC hotel, and she was shooting dice and taking people's money. But it came all the way from Ohio to that conference, and so she's just a great, great spirit. Give it up for Miriam Murray.
This poem is called Silence. She knows my name, all the names I ever had and ever will have, knows me from the inside, no idea what I look like and doesn't care, wants nothing from me, happy to sit beside me, comfort me, help me rest, empty out my mind as I come to peace again, sharing all she has, silence.
All right. All right. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. There are two people, that we would love to hear from that are, in my opinion, uh, so essential to the continuation of the national chapter. The national chapter was created 3 years ago under the leadership of Andy Sanchez. And then, when Andy stepped away, these two people stepped up to, like take the helm. And in my opinion, the chapter would not be running without them. So I'd love for them to read a poem, but they don't have to read a poem. I'm not forcing them to read a poem, but they could just say something or say what's up to Deborah, whatever they like. So we're going to start with the TA, the current TA of the national chapter, which is Crystal Reyes. So Crystal, can we hear something from you?
Yes, let me just, I have my toddler with his tablet and my husband in front of me, but okay, yes. Okay. This one is called #body shaming. When will we move past a world that insults the too skinny, muy flacos, the too fat, barrigón panzón? When will we meet in the middle? Tus palabras molding me like clay. I am tired of searching for those that made me feel beautiful. I want to be with people who float above criticisms, flee the common narrative, gente valiente, sin miedo a nada. Mi domicilio on this planet no es mi cuerpo. It is my soul. Es mi alma.
Woo! I want to be with people who float above criticisms. Wow, that's a
Nice.
great line. Great line, right? All right. So the next person we're going to hear from the national chapter, she's the author of an incredible book called Burn Scars, one of the greatest books of poetry I've ever read. She also wrote another book at CLI called Daughterland. And she's also a poetry teacher. She's teaching the national chapter and, like always just a courageous poet in Doc Martin boots. So please give it up for Margaret Garcia.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I've upped my shoe game too. So next time I see you, you'll see the new ones. So hi, it is my exceptional privilege to have the national chapter. And I gotta say, a lot of times the last few weeks, as they bring things into workshop, it's hard to find things to tell them to edit because they're bringing such high quality work in the first place. So shout out to our national students for being so excellent in the first place. And it always makes for a wonderful Sunday evening. I'm going to read you a quick new piece. I'm working on a new chapbook of poems called Aimless and Driven. For those of you who know me, know I moved from rural northeastern California, the deep north as we call it, and down to Southern California. So it's been a bit of an adjustment to move into the suburbs. And I have the privilege of doing a lot of people watching. So this is called The Devil You Know. The devil you know keeps his side of the room untidy and hasn't done his own laundry in quite some time. The devil you know wakes before dawn in need of you. You do not lay back and think of England. You push your cold blood uncirculated hands onto the thick, warm fur of his chest as your bodies conspire against your own need for sleep. The devil you know accepted the trade of your autonomy for a house in need of dual pane windows and a renovated kitchen. It will happen someday. But meanwhile, this devil is in your details and entrails, and your name is on the deed. The devil you know, the one I'm talking about, is you and your compromises. But maybe you're not ready for that one. And casts about to find a nice man holding the door open for you with one hand and velvet ropes to tie you down with the other.
Woo! Thank,
Nice.
thank
So
you,
yeah,
Margaret.
that's from the new collection.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for teaching the national chapter. All right, so we're gonna get into a couple poets that Deborah personally asked to read before her. And before that, I have to pause for a station break. Is that what they say? A CLI station break. So we're currently in the midst of a campaign called Give Words. It's a campaign to raise support for the Sims Library of Poetry, which, as I said at the beginning, holds a collection of 10,000 books of poetry. And tomorrow is going to be 10,001 as we put Deborah's book on the shelf. But we also do some incredible programming at the library. We host book releases, both in person and virtual. We do lectures, panels, like children's clubs. We do so many great things. And so, in order to continue doing that work at the Sims Library, we need your support. So if you could, find it in your heart to donate to the library. We also have an incredible event that's coming Saturday, uh, just called the Give Words Show, and some great poets will be reading. So please consider giving to the Sims Library of Poetry. All right. There's one more uh, open mic spot before we get into the poets that Deborah has asked to read. Also from the CLI chapter, please give it up for Marissa Brown.
Thanks, y'all. So this poem is called Synthetic Blue. Shiny blue reflections bounce between buildings. I'm dizzied by the noise of cars, the stink of street smells, sour, like a poverty line on a Tuesday, smells like small violence, step over the needy. I'm sorry, I have no change, only credit cards. I walk through Oakland with discordant bursts of madness and guilt. I see the fibers of this year's blue Nikes, blue Lululemons draped over skin. I see blue neon signs blinking open, blue plastic bottles, blue wrappers, but I cannot see the sky. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you very much. All right. So these two poets that Deborah has asked to read before her, just to usher her onto the microphone. uh, the first poet I'm gonna call up is just someone who I admire greatly from Atlanta, Georgia. A couple, uh, well, last year, me and this poet were literally sitting on the dock of the bay in Tuskegee, Alabama. I'm wearing my Tuskegee shirt today. And, we had the opportunity to read some poetry together at a CLI book release at Tuskegee University. So she's just a talented speaker, preacher, poet. Give it up for Yani Davis coming up to the mic. Woo!
Hey family, so good to be here in a celebratory mood. D squared, what's up, sis? I'm so happy and proud of you. Thank you for including me in the forward and in the book. To all of my friends, hey y'all, peace, peace, peace. And Deborah, I'm just so hype. I'm so hype and inspired by all that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your work. All right, y'all. I'm gonna share a quick piece called "Oh Freedom: Why We Write," dedicated to this occasion, in this powerful moment in time. Cop that book, y'all. It's gonna change you. Trying to make a living, trying to survive. We see the desperation and confusion in our little ones' eyes. How do we gain access, access, access? Not just in the practice, 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 but in the praxis, but in the active. See, we embody the truth of the ancestors, land investors, not just financially. Work this land with me, show your hands to me, raise your frequency frequently with me as we sing, oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over we. The collective consciousness, the collective responsiveness. I didn't choose my community chose me. When you take them out of the pandemic, oh my God, all we have is panic. It's backwards, it's harmful. We have our arms full, hugging nations and praying the pain away. Intergenerational healing and connectedness, keeping the hardship at bay. The gift of sacrifices saving lives. Our folks never thought twice about nurturing us, seeing the hurt in us, speaking directly to the deservingness and worthiness in us. The great cloud of witnesses are birthing what's most necessary in these times. We must remain present until the gift arrives. We are rocking to the sound of resurrection because we need a little protection. We are rolling to the vibes of those that gave their lives because we're still here. We take our blues and transmute them into nourishment, encouragement. We bring the heat when we breathe deep, knowing the ruach of life brings living waters, more conscious of the way we raise our sons and daughters, siblings, be with your teary-eyed loved ones. Displaced children, don't you dare get weary. Our common unity will lead us to free, lead us to love, lead us to home. Heart gon' ache when the youth ask questions like, are they coming to take us away? Will I see my mommy and daddy again? Can my teddy bear come with me? We weren't written into the story. If you ever wrestled with your calling, 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 you are hearing this for a reason. They say our communities are falling. I say we are the agents of change activated for such a time as this. My family, be bold, be brilliant, be loud. They will not muffle our sound. We will write resilience. We will write freedom. We will write it right. Peace and blessings. Love y'all.
Love you, Yani. Oh my goodness.
Yay!
Woo! Thank you, Yanni. Thank you, Yanni. So good, man. Deborah, you got some homies, man. Like if these are the people you kick it with, like wow. All right, so the next poet that we have coming up to the mic, um earlier she called Deborah a bomb diggity word master, and got a chance to meet her in person last year. Came all the way from Houston to LA and read some poetry, and so she's just got a beautiful spirit. please put some claps and snaps together for Sister Mama Sonya.
Wow.
Yay.
Deborah. We had Christmas breakfast a couple of weeks ago. She came to my birthday party last year. So wow. It is such an honor to be here. And this is kind of a reworking of something I wanted to do just for you. You inspire so many other people. So I'm dedicating this to you. It's called The Unknown Ancestor. My country, tears of we sweet land of bigotry, of the I sing, land where my father's, mother's, brothers, sisters died, land of the pilgrims' false pride. From every mountainside will freedom ever ring. We don't know who she was and probably never will. Stolen from the motherland, brought in the belly of a ship against her will, never to see her family again. A horrendous journey full of death and despair, led by those who really didn't care. We never will know her identity, yet the history of the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. Working day in and day out, never knowing what comfort in life was all about. Birthing child after child after child, many times by rape. Seeing them taken against her will. She taught her children, when she could, the stories she heard from her grandmother who came over in the belly of that ship. So they would always know. We will never know her identity, yet the history of the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. She goes in the dead of the night to the tree to cut down that strange fruit. Her daddy, husband, son, brother, nephew, friend, beaten, hung, destroyed by hate, heinous acts by them. She shares their story so they won't be forgotten. We will never know her identity, yet the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. She rises in the darkness of the morning to walk to work, way across town, because she will never catch that bus honoring the boycott. In the rain, the heat, the cold, the snow, she, like so many others, have no choice but to go. Proudly joining the movement in her own way, looking forward to a brand new day. We may never know her identity, yet the history of the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. She lived in Birmingham all her life, knowing firsthand the trappings of racial strife. Water hoses, dogs, billy clubs, which always seemed to never miss their mark. She heard the explosion a little after 10 a.m. that Sunday in September. A deafening sound she will always remember. Her neighbors, her friends were gone. Karo, Addie, Cynthia, Denise. She made sure those in Birmingham, no, it's Birmingham, would never forget what happened. We may never know her identity, yet the history of that ancestor goes on and on. The unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. By the hundreds, she registered voters all over the South well into her 90s. She joined the other sisters making sandwiches, brown bag lunches for the thousands who marched and carried the torch. So on the 9th day of January, 2009, she proudly sat in celebration when that little colored man, as she called him, President Obama's inauguration. We may never know her identity nationwide, yet the history of the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. She wakes up every day, doing what she does in her own special way, teaching, cleaning, doctoring, lawyering, hairdressing, cooking, bus driving, engineering, housewifing, mothering, consulting, computering, social work, painting, singing, acting, preaching, poetry, and all the other ones. Even though in life, she often, like that watch, she often takes a licking, but she keeps on a ticking. We may never know her ancestor, yet the history of the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. From the ship to the plantation, to the poplar tree, to the long walk of the boycott, to the dark Sunday in Birmingham, to that memorable day in January 2009. to those everyday lives, those inspiring, strong, caring, beautiful sisters who leave their mark. We may never know their identity, yet the history of the unknown ancestor leaves a lasting legacy. And they say that the last person who says your name, when that last person who knows you dies, you cease to exist. So today we will always say D2, 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 Deborah, because your legacy will always live on and on. Ashe, Ashe.
Ashe.
Amen.
Ashe.
Yes, Ashe.
Woo! Thank you, Sister Mama Sonya.
Yes.
Reading that poem all the way from Houston. All right. Next poet up to the mic. Someone else, Deborah, has asked to read for her. And this man right here, he's actually CLI student number one, from 12 years ago. We put together a book of his incredible poetry called Ketchup, Sopa de Gato, a word is worth 1,000 pictures. And then last year, as a part of this group, he also wrote another book called Vernacular, which will be coming out on Riot of Roses Books, I believe. And this man is just like an incredible poet, man. I call him my brother from another Hispanic mother. Please put your hands together for Carlos Ornelas.
Thank you. Hey, Deborah, congratulations. Congratulations on your book.
Love you dearly.
This is called Smile. The importance of smiling. To smile is to greet with a joyous mystique, so in depth, so unique is the smile that you keep. Smile, radiant daughter of the sun. Let the laughter linger. Laugh until you twinkle, tinkle, little star. Kisses on your little scar. Smile, pensive sister of the moon. Spill out gallons of giggles. Smile among strangers. Let your smile be your trademark. Smile, brave sister of the arts. Smile till your cheeks ache. Smile like you're getting paid for it. Smile, wise mother of the stars, although the world does not deserve it. Smile on the outside as if you were full of inside jokes. Smile, descendant of ancient storytellers. Smile like it was raining compliments. Smile like you were drenched in confidence. Smile like you heard your lover's voice whisper sweet somethings in your precious ear. Smile, marvelous mover of malignant mountains. Faith healer of fallopian fountains. Smile as if you knew the Virgin Mary on a first name basis. Smile as if the world were perfect. Smile because your smile is contagious, because it brightens stages, because we need your radiance, because everything changes when you smile. You are alive, smile like your doctor prescribed it. Bring light to the darkness. You brought a smile to the heartless. No other garments stand out when you are wearing your smile. Smile like you had all your teeth. You've been given a real treat, another day of life, so just smile like your hurt didn't pain you, like your pain didn't drain you. We all need to continue. I just wanted to thank you for letting me make you smile. Thank you.
Woo! Wow. Right?
Thank you for making me smile.
Man, one of the best to ever do it.
Yes.
My opinion.
Good job, brother.
One of the best to ever do it. If you want to buy another great book of poetry after you buy this one, buy Ketchup, man. Just like wow. All right. So now I get the honor of introducing the woman of the hour. And I want to say that it's so important for all of us to not only celebrate Deborah, but also to celebrate the accomplishments of great Black women, because there's such a rich literary legacy of Black women writing incredible poetry. And Deborah is another one of them. And these are people that we at World Stage Press literally consider to be a part of our lineage, a part of our ancestry. Like some of y'all know about Phyllis Wheatley. Some of y'all know about Nikki Giovanni. Some of y'all know about Maya Angelou. Some of y'all know about Nikki Finney. Some of y'all know about V. Khalid. Some of y'all know about Yani Davis. Like about Kamari Carter, right? Like this is like to me, like the accomplishments, the literary accomplishments of Black women are to be acknowledged, to be praised, and to be lifted up. So we lift you up today, Deborah.
Wow.
We lift this accomplishment up. We lift you up, and we are, like eternally grateful for what you have done and what your accomplishment inspires other people to do, what it inspires other people to finish. So, without further ado, coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, please unmute yourself and give some claps and snaps for Deborah Dalton.
Wow.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you,
Deborah.
Love you. Yeah.
Deborah, D2. Love you.
It's in your book. I see you.
It's not muted.
Cindy, I love. Thank y'all so very much.
Hey,
Out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has
proud.
been totally mind blowing today. This virtual release far exceeds what I anticipated, and I mean, I am so full and so overjoyed and so appreciative of all of the hard work of CLI and the people to make this happen. And of course, happy birthday to me. Celebrate my birthday, and it is truly a joy to celebrate it with y'all. I was listening to Karo share about how I was celebrating my book baby, but celebrating my book baby on my birthday is fabulous. So tonight, it is my honor and deep pleasure to celebrate the national release of my book, Qoheleth the Teacher, Qoheleth My Muse, book of poems about poems. And I want to open up with my very first piece in the book. And it's called As Qoheleth Admires the Sun. Captured in its rays, our essence coalesces in like manner, stretching to capture new breaths, contracting with heartbeat silence, leaving a temple, stayed, secure, strong, sure, foundation secure, while shifting blocks of a puzzle already solved, just absent, coordinating colors in awe, seeing the beauty of forms already. Complex layers pulled to reveal what is needed to coordinate a relived fixture. Amazing it is, this organism, birth for eternal purpose, which will only manifest once this temporal, embryonic, viscous film is ruptured. As Qoheleth admires the sun. Thank you for allowing me to share my first piece. And with that piece, I like to remind and share that I am a poet with a desire to serve. I'm an artist with a heart for God and God's people, and I am a woman who has been searching for a reason for living that is beyond the rungs of achievement, of the ladder of capitalism, and a God deeper that is deeper than the easy stories that you see in your Sunday school book. I have a curious spirit that motivated me to deconstruct machines as a youth and has inspired me to do this same kind of deconstruction that is status quo as an adult. Discovering the beauty of poetry from books like gifted to be by my father, like Ntozake Shanghai, Eldridge Cleaver, Hugh Prather, Langston Hughes, Claude McKay, I learned the language that allowed me to communicate my deepest thoughts. And I've published other books and other chapbooks and anthologies, but it's this book that really speaks to the soul of what I've been struggling with. Because this book is a culmination of over 22 years of study and writing, and has proven to be one of the most enlightening processes of my life. This book required that I leave each pericope before I could write it. And the book that I'm talking about is the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible. And I'm still living them. And I will be living them until the final closing of my eyes. Going through Ecclesiastes told me that this was a quest to wrestle with what does it mean to matter? Where do we find redemption? And what are the themes in life that are consistently repeated by us all? So reading and meditating, researching and praying, and then writing about this text has revealed how we matter. How we matter is when we are unabashedly affirmed in our identity and experiences. True redemption is our source of sincere joy, and all of humanity shares a common thematic desire to seek meaning within a construct that we must first strip away its oppressive meaning for all of us to become whole. So in this book, you will notice that every poem has two things. One, you'll see the scripture reference of Ecclesiastes, of the poem that I'm talking about, that inspired the piece. And then you'll see a QR code so that you can scan to pull up my website that will have a video of me reciting that piece so you can hear it in my own voice. As an example, I'm going to ask them to share one of those pieces for you right now. And that piece is called The Hive. The Hive. Tunnels and catacombs built from sweat, grit, and waste, crafted into future pre-gentrified real estate, burrowing highways at a deadening pace. Nervous activity built a future race, climbing underlying backs, leaving traceable tracks, all to appease the awaiting hums of conformity, drowning out opposing realities, programmed to binge while chasing cliff-hangered finalities, carrots dangling a pause at season ends, busy satisfying one, equally flawed, but still beheld amongst us, and yet we cannot take time to taste the honey. That one is called The Hive. And I look forward for you to chance to listen to that, and that, as well as others in my book as you read and go through it. This next piece, I wrote this on a Monday. And in preparation for my CLI class, I recited it on a Tuesday. And after I share this piece, I will let you know why this piece has such a bittersweet and sweet meaning to me. This piece is called A Pointless Promise. I wish that I could expertly paint a picture that evoked an emotion so guttural that when those who gaze upon its visage would have a reluctant tear of bittersweet melancholy carelessly fall. But that would be meaningless. I wish that I could energetically inhale, filling up my lungs, topping them off with an up-to-capacity sigh, like the soothing aroma of candle wax lazily melting, expressing its hypnotic throe, immediately infusing through my pores into every one of my beckoning cells the joy that it promises. But that would be meaningless. Wish my third glass of IPA would wrap a jovial buzz around my shoulders, escort me gently upstairs, and neatly tuck me into my bed, coaxing dreams of fulfillment, sparking a contentment that would seat me firmly in complete eternal peace. But that would be meaningless. I wish that the way I could nestle into the awaiting arms, melting into the intricate architecture of a side that would comfort me with the need to be fully seen, that would be meaningless. Y'all, it's all meaningless. Whether or not I lose these last 50 pounds, it is meaningless. Whether or not I buy myself the perfectly appointed new house, it is meaningless. Whether or not I finally organize all of my stuff in its own appointed spot, it is meaningless. Whether or not this sniffing from my incessant allergies stop, it is meaningless. Whether or not I complete this list of tasks, filling up my notepads and my computer and my generated reminders, it is meaningless. Whether or not I achieve another damn orgasm, it is meaningless. And I sigh as I wrestle with the potential of each experience, each possibility in a world full of promise as a gift to those who are living, those to seek to prove that they are fully alive. I sigh, I moan, and I stretch out my muscles to awaken them for rest or pull them in from the brink of a trophy. I reach for the water bottle at my desk to keep take my pills to keep my heart on pace, and I sigh. I am alive. And I have a world, the world available to me as a beautiful promise. But it is all meaningless. The pointless promise. As I shared in the beginning, I wanted to share why this is a bittersweet poem to me. Sitting in those times when you try to figure out the meaning of life, how you do life, how you handle things and accomplish things. And then when you hit this scripture and it tells you meaningless, everything is meaningless. You try to reconcile what all that means. And I wrote this poem on a Monday, expressed all the emotion inside of me to get it. Had the blessed opportunity to share this piece immediately with my CLI group, with all the energy and emotion to really express how living this life can be beautiful and meaningless at the same time. Only to find out that on the next day, I learned that while I was giving this poem, reciting this poem, my dear sweet mother was breathing her last breath. A pointless promise. Mm. Whew. Had to take a deep breath on that one. Whew, my Lord, you're right. That's true. That's true. Frances Jeanette Barcroft, my mommy. If you've noticed, I've had some backgrounds that I've been sharing in this poem, and I appreciate the creativity of Hiriam because he inspired me to really pull together my creativity to this book. And this book is called Qoheleth, my teacher, Qoheleth the teacher, Qoheleth my muse. And they'll be putting links in the book so you can purchase your book and your copy. But these images came from a time of prayer and meditation that I did the day of a dear family friend who passed away. I was in Hampton, Virginia at Buckrow Beach. And I wanted some time just to be at the beach. I grew up to high school in Hampton, so I wanted to go there. And I sat there taking images and pictures and sharing and looking. And these pictures and this whole series is about 13 pictures. I titled them A Quiet Hour for Michelle. So I hope you have the opportunity to get the book, to look at the pictures and meditate on the words and the thoughts and the expressions that came out of each of those pieces. And we're now going to transition. I think that's a nice transition to my next piece. My next piece is a call and response kind of a piece. Now, I can't ask how to do that on Zoom because it's not going to come across well. So I think you're going to figure out the part what I would have call you, because I'm going to point at you and see if you can figure it out. Do it on your own. And it's going to be the first phrase. And this is one of the poems I did. Hiriam had an event and he was sharing something and I dedicated this poem to him, and it's called Mathematics. I function to produce a solution. I function adding to existing values. I function subtracting coveted vices. I function dividing my energy into infinite fractions of cost. I function multiplying fears to an exponential growth. I function calculating and crunching situations into monumental totals. I function as a solvent dimension erodes. I function for rights, triangulating with the acute. I function based in binary encoded purposes, undergirding theorems proven and disclosed, data dependent on deficient discovery, and diametrically dilated to diagonal digits, magnetically opposed. I function cosigning arguments, distancing components, balanced equilaterally, setting up a tidy sum. I function gradients of gain, expanding codes, ratios, breathing harmony. I function spinning on an axis, anchored in wisdom, cyclically piercing ideal elements, imaginary and complex, within a impartial and proper incident. Rewind. Spinning on an axis, anchored in wisdom, cyclically piercing ideal elements, imaginary and complex, within a partial improper incidence. I function. Circles surrounding an overloaded matrix. I function. Jumping hearts into knots, level intertwine into a lace and climb. Limits on function, limits on order. I function. That poem is titled Mathematics. Well, I am like so blown away, everyone. And this has been a powerful day. I want to thank those who've come out here and celebrate with me. Hiriam, thank you. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your tenacity. Thank you for your ability to pull so many people together to help them find their voice and to document their voice. I mean, there's so many wonderful stories out there. And the fact that you take it upon yourself to make sure that these voices are documented, for here on out is admirable. And I admire you and I appreciate you and I love you dearly. I want to thank Karo as my teacher and Mauricio as my TA, all my lovely classmates in season 10. And I want to thank my sister who's helped me out, Emily, who helped me pull it together. There's so many people. I know I'm going to miss people. Yani, I'm seeing the names and the family members. And I wanted to thank everybody before I share with you my final piece, because my final piece encapsulates the conclusion that I got after my study of the book of Ecclesiastes. I pray that in your studies and sharing as you're looking through the book and reading the book, that you get to a similar wholesome and whole thought of Ecclesiastes, because oftentimes people don't see how whole that book is, and it really is. Absent of Christ, it can be not, but with Christ, you see the whole picture. I'm going to leave that little nugget there for you to share and meditate on your own. But this piece that I wrote, I think only 5 years ago and finally got it fine-tuned, is called Click My Heels. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to send out thank you notes. a polite and proper gesture that communicates how one appreciates, that gift to me from you. That note should acknowledge the full specifics of that which was given and describe the full value of which was that which was received. Affirming declaration of how you blessed me. Thank you for that metaphysical, invisible string between two cans empty reach that took years to weave and construct, so to complete the connection. For igniting weathered kindling doused with salt, water, translucent ramblings, and long lost, hopeless dissertations. For guiding towards the light through a darkness so heavy that I was left lingering in a deafening visual uncertainty of lids being open or closed. For revealing the combination for me to calm my own storm. For viewing the candid exhibition of my abstract interpretation of raw feminine expression and seeing it as art. For being that welcoming deep valley, warmly embracing the reverberating echoes of my cries and my moans and my screams, and then sending them back musically, tenderly. For fostering my orphan spirit until it was secured and deemed fit to move back and mesh with my soul, for the space to connect with abandoned and discarded memories, and the freedom to caress my intellect with the extracted remnants of goodness and with mercy. For the ability to mature my emotions from the necessary lessons contained within the lingering dross, and for breathing the hope of a potential of a beat of life into my heart. For the necessary silence to hear my own voice. For balancing out an unbalanced admiration. For handing me a shovel as I excavated through the trauma-enriched soil that nurtured my comfortable state of mediocrity. For being my ride and I rise as I cleared out the chaotic debris of once valuable trinkets, now crushed and reduced to a mound of totally insignificant rubble. For inspecting the uniquely placed forms tailor-made for my personality and temperament before your divine foundation was poured. For being the scaffolding as the skeleton structure was erected, and then gracefully removing it so I could skillfully tend to the aesthetic placement of the brick and mortar of my new existence. For providing, validating, and entertaining channels of focus until it was time to remotely power them down and casually allow the heat to dissipate until the surface to the touch was cold. For helping me redefine what it means to be at home. There's no place like it. Home. The celebrated author, James Baldwin, wrote this quote in his book, Giovanni's Room. Perhaps home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition. Thank you for coming. And that was Click My Heels.
Yeah.
So proud of you, Deborah.
Thank y'all.
So Deborah,
Great job, Deborah.
That was wonderful. Wonderful.
Woo!
Awesome, Amazing. Yeah.
Wow. This has been overwhelming. Wow.
So Deborah, I wanted to ask a question. We got about, like 10 minutes, and then we might have time for one or two other questions. If you have a question, just hit your raise hand button. We'll see how many questions we can get in, for the next 10 minutes. Um, my question has to do with sort of like poetry and the Bible. Like one of my favorite poets is King David. Like probably the first poetry I ever heard. Like in church at like 4 weeks old. Like they were always reading from the book of Psalms, which is just like an incredible book of poetry to me. And as much as I vibe and connect with King David, seems like you've connected, with another figure, like from Ecclesiastes. And so I just wanted to ask you, like, because one, maybe I'm alone in this, but I feel like after I want to read your book and the book of Ecclesiastes.
Yeah,
Like, and
that's the
so my
point.
question is like, is that part of what you want? And I guess I just would like to talk, ask you to talk more about your connection to, Qoheleth, and yeah.
That is the point, because the Bible is a book for us to read and study and learn and live it and come up and to meditate and pray on it and study it and live our life through it, and understanding the context of it then and how it applies to my context now. Yes, that's key. That's also why I have the scripture actually in the book. So I put the scripture references actually in the book because I want you to read it. I want you to meditate and pray on it. Maybe read my poem before or after, but I want you to embrace the text, because the text is living and it's vibrant and it's relevant always. You just have to meditate and pray on it and find it. So that's my hope and my desire. How I see it's a part, an importance of it. The Bible, especially the Old Testament, was the written word of an oral tradition of communicating the story at one time. So these are all oral traditions finally put in and transcribed into a Bible. So just like we can be poetic and lyrical in our saying and sharing stuff, that's the same way that the book is. So just like in CLI, when you have us reading a page or a book a day, reading other poems motivates you to write other poems. And as a poet, to write a poem, you have to live it. You can write if you really want to be a good poet, you got to live what you're writing about. So it forces you to live the word and then read the word and study the word, live the word, and then write about the word.
Wonderful, wonderful. That what you said reminds me of a song by Mahalia Jackson. Uh, "Live the life I sing about in my
Mm,
song,"
mm.
and that's one of the best songs I think she ever sung. But that sentiment, as you said, it might apply to poetry. So I have one more question, because you read this really super powerful poem about, like meaningless, right?
Mm.
And how sometimes, and I feel like the poetic spirit is always searching for meaning,
Mm.
um, like always searching for meaning, and in that search, deciding that some things are trivial, like, and I guess I'd like you to speak to the notion of things being both, because you said, like that there's a duality, right?
Mm.
Like that there are things that are both, like significant and meaningless, or yeah. So I'd just like you to speak a little bit to that, like to to that duality. Yeah, go ahead.
There is understanding that there is a secular way of understanding and viewing word, and the Christian way or religious way of viewing it. In the secular world, you develop your meaning based on what you own, what you have, and what you do. And sometimes what you own and what you have and what you do defines who you are. So the process of studying Ecclesiastes is helping me, because I'm still working through that. is helping me to not define myself by what I have and what I own or what I do and but who I am, and deciding who I am. Who I am is so intricately connected to the Son, Jesus Christ, and God. My being, who I am, is defined and formed through and through, in and out by that relationship. And going from that relationship, you can then see how what I do, what I have, and what I own is meaningless. Your meaning is derived in what your identity is. My identity is I'm a child of God. And then as I move as a child of God, my actions have meaning. What I do have meaning. What I say has meaning. What I own has meaning because it is rooted in how I identify myself. And that's part of the opening theme of that's what we wrestle with. And you're right, poets want redemption. They want a happy ending. That would be some of the debates sometimes in my poems. Like, I wanted a happy ending, but sometimes life doesn't have a happy ending. Pointing progress. I did a poem that was so liberating and so freeing, talking about life. And then the very next day, my mother dies. I thought I had the answer. And then I am confronted with the reality that my mother is gone. And it was quick and it was not expected. So I have to now understand what is meaningless.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer.
So
Wow.
meaningful. So meaningful.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, we got a question from Marissa. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the
Thank
author.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Deborah. This was
You're
so beautiful. And really just like empowers me and inspires me to keep writing. And so I'm currently writing a collection of poetry, and I really would like to know how you landed on your title and if you could walk through the process of like thinking about your title.
Oh my gosh, my title. That's an interesting process. I was like, do I say, because I'm like, how many people are gonna know about Qoheleth? And I say, oh, it's poems about poems. It's my muse, whatever. And then I stopped trying to be afraid of the word, even though it's not a well-known word, and just put that word out there because it is truly a book about Qoheleth, the teacher. This teacher, some people think it's King Solomon. Some people think it's a scribe that worked with King Solomon. Some people think it's somebody who interpreted the work that he did. But Qoheleth is a teacher or a preacher who's sharing wisdom. This teacher was teaching or sharing and sharing his life in Ecclesiastes. And from that sharing in the book, it was my muse or my inspiration to write poems. So it is literally me looking at Qoheleth, the teacher, and him turning him into my muse. So I call it Qoheleth the teacher and Qoheleth my muse, poems about poems.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking that question. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. I want to give a shout out to everybody who read in the open mic, everybody who read before Deborah, and especially give a shout out to Deborah for writing this incredible book.
One
And
thing
for,
I forgot to mention one thing. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. In the book, when you talked about redemption, the cover work of my book is from a painting that I did in 2016. And this is 2016. The title of this picture is called No, Not Every Poem Ends in Redemption.
Mm-hmm. So cool. So cool. All right. So I want to give a shout out to a very special person who hasn't spoke this evening, but who has a very significant role in the publication of this book, and that's the World Stage Press manager, Emily Ann Evans. So, like for you all
Emily!
to, give Emily some love. Thank you for, putting this together and for helping us to get this book out. And I especially want to give a shout out to the national chapter of CLI for their continued work in helping to develop poets and help them to cross the finish line. You know, like putting these book releases together is our real joy. And one of our hopes is that, you know, we not only celebrate the author who has crossed the finish line, but also that you feel inspired to continue on so that one day we get to celebrate you. All right. To get a copy of this book, go to worldstagepress.org. If you want to learn more about CLI, visit communitylit.org. And if you'd like to support the Sims Library of Poetry, visit simslibraryofpoetry.org. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Good to
you,
see y'all.
everybody. Thank you, everybody.
All
So
right.
love y'all.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Y'all have a good
yeah. You
night.
did it.
Good night,
Can't wait to read it.
everybody.
Good night.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Everybody, love
Deborah.
y'all.
Deb.
Peace.
Good
Night.
night, everyone.
Birthday,
Good
Mike.
night.
Way to
Good
go,
Good
night.
night,
Debbie.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Deborah. It was beautiful.
Deborah.
Thank you, Deb.
Uh,
Proud of
Deborah,
you.
can I sing you a
I'm
birthday
about to go
song?
to sleep now.
Is Deborah still here? No.
Who?
Yeah.
Hey, Deborah.
Deborah,
Yeah,
is she still
I'm
here?
here. I'm still here.
Can I sing you a birthday song?
Yes. Birthday song.
It's really short. It's very special. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Hey, hey, have a great day.
Yeah.
All right.
Congratulations.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. Love you, Deb. Take care.
All right. Take
Yes.
care.